This is the story of a lady who fell in love with a perfect gentleman, but unknown to her, she was in love with a ritualist. And soon, no one was coming to save her except for her childhood friends who would not give up on their sister no matter the odds.
Well, well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you need to subscribe.
They barely slept that night. After the call with Chuck's and Gloria's heartbreaking message, the three of them stayed on a long video call, thinking, plotting, grasping for a way forward. "We have one advantage," Joy had said. "Every Friday, something enters or leaves Jerry's house. A delivery, a pattern. We saw it. And if we can't enter physically, we need someone inside someone who can pass messages or help pull her out." "The housemaid," Jumoke whispered. "She's our best bet." And so the plan was made. Friday morning, outside Jerry's compound. The sun beat down softly on the car roof as they waited in Chuck's SUV, parked several meters from Hillview Estate Gate. It was 8:05 a.m. The last time, the delivery car had exited by noon. Jumoke sat in the back, fingers tapping restlessly on the seatbelt. Joy beside her stared through the tinted window, heart racing. Chuck's was calm, but his jaw was tight. "Any movement yet?" Jumoke asked. "Not yet. Soon," he said. A long silence followed, until Chuck suddenly broke it. "There's something I need to tell you girls," he said, eyes still fixed on the compound. They both looked at him. "Before I left Lagos, I met with Pastor Silas, our family's spiritual mentor." Joy sat up straighter. "And what did he say?" Chuck exhaled. "He told me Gloria isn't just being controlled, she's in spiritual bondage. He said she's being used as a vessel, a sacrifice for Jerry's wealth." Jumoke's mouth parted. "What?" "It's deeper than control. Her soul has been tied to his through a covenant, a ritual. Pastor said Jerry has bound her essence, and unless that bond is broken, she's already half dead." "My God," Joy whispered. "He said we're not dealing with just manipulation. We're fighting a man who has sold himself and tied her spirit into that sacrifice. He said Gloria is already fading, that if we don't act fast, she'll become a walking corpse." Jumoke's eyes glistened. "That's why she looks like that, like she's not fully here anymore." Chuks nodded slowly. "He's draining her. Her soul is tied to his. Pastor said Jerry bound her spirit through a ritual, and that the bond is fueled by something inside the house, a source." "What kind of source?" Joy asked. Chuks hesitated, then said quietly, "There's a secret room in that house, a shrine. Pastor said it's a power room, spiritually protected, invisible to most eyes. Inside is a calabash. That's where Jerry's wealth flows from." The car went silent. Jumoke's mouth was dry. "So, she's the fuel." "Exactly," Chuck said, jaw clenched. "And the pastor told me until Gloria is removed from that house, from that power room, she will continue to fade. If we can get her out, even for a short while, the bond will begin to weaken. That will be the beginning of her freedom. So that house isn't just a mansion. It's her cage and his altar." Chuks nodded gravely. "Yes, and time is running out." They all went quiet again, staring at the compound in front of them, no longer just a house, but a fortress of darkness. 8:45 a.m. "There," Jumoke whispered sharply. A black sedan rolled slowly out of the gate. "That's the same car from last week," Joy said. "And it's the maid. No guards, just the driver," Chucks confirmed, starting the engine. "Let's move." They followed cautiously, 3 cars between them. The black sedan headed towards central Asaba. When it finally parked near the main produce market, Chuks pulled into a side lane 2 rows down. "You two go," he said. "I'll keep my eyes on everything. Be careful, we can't spook her." Joy and Jumoke nodded and slipped out, moving through the crowd. The maid moved casually from stall to stall, holding a small list, scanning vegetables and fruit. She was alone. "There's our shot," Joy whispered. They approached slowly, then stepped up beside her at a quiet corner. Joy spoke first. "Please, we are Gloria's friends." The maid froze. Her eyes widened, hand trembling slightly. "We don't mean harm," Jumoke added. "She needs help. We know she's not well. We just need to talk." The maid stared at them with fear and hesitation dancing in her eyes. "We love her, and we need your help. Please don't turn us down yet. Just listen to us." The maid stood frozen, clutching a bunch of vegetables as her eyes darted between Jumoke and Joy. "We're not here to cause trouble," Joy said softly, trying to calm her. "We're here for Gloria, Madam Gloria." The maid's eyebrows furrowed. "You know her?" "She's our sister," Jumoke said quickly. "Not by blood, but by heart. We grew up together, schooled together. We've been looking for her for months." The maid looked shaken. "Madam Gloria?" she repeated slowly, eyes flicking to her shopping bag as if hoping to vanish into it. Joy reached into her phone gallery, scrolled quickly, then held out a photo. It was a selfie. The three girls, Jumoke, Joy, and Gloria, sitting at a restaurant table laughing, wine glasses in hand, joy in their eyes. "Look," Joy whispered. "This was us, before Jerry." The maid's hand trembled slightly as she stared. "She's your friend." "More than a friend," Jumoke said. "She's our family, and she's in bondage. She hasn't seen her parents in months. We didn't even know she was in Asaba. Jerry's hidden her here." The maid stepped back slowly. No, that's not possible. Ogre Jerry, he's kind. He takes care of her. She's just..." "No, she's not fine," Joy interrupted gently. "She's not herself. She's a prisoner in that house." Meanwhile, across the market, Chucks leaned against the hood of his car as the driver of the black sedan lit a cigarette beside him. "Asaba sunna real wahala," Chuck said, trying to sound casual. The driver chuckled. "My brother Nigeria itself na wahala. But we dey survive." They talked politics, fuel scarcity, elections, the usual. The driver was open, friendly, trusting. Then he said, "But our boss, dey different Shah Ogre Jerry. He no be like other people." Chucks's jaw tightened. "How so?" "Ah, the man is too good. You will think he is an angel God sent. He pays school fees for half of this community. People way no get house. He built houses for them. One time, he paid hospital bills for a whole ward. He never enter Senate, yet him don do pass plenty way don day there for years. He gives back to the community." Chuck swallowed hard. "Wow, sounds like a great man." "The best," the driver said with pride. "If you meet Am, you go like Am immediately." Chucks gave a hollow smile. He had met him, and he hated him. Back at the vegetable stall, the maid shook her head. "But I've never seen anything strange. He's always been respectful to us, gives us bonuses, treats Madam with kindness." Jumoke stepped closer. "Not everything evil comes with horns. Jerry doesn't shout or beat her, he drains her. Spiritually, he collects from her. Her soul is tied to that house." The maid stared at her, face blank. Joy's tone shifted, firm but not threatening. "You don't have to believe us, but promise you won't say a word about this conversation. There's a shrine in that mansion, a power room only your boss enters. That's where his fortune comes from. And it's not just about Gloria. If that evil keeps feeding, it'll spread. You also have family, sisters, kids. Someday, he'll need a replacement." The maid signed, the words hitting her like thunder. "We just want our sister back alive." Joy took out a small pouch, scribbled her number on the back, and gently handed it to her. "If you ever want to help, or if something strange happens, call us, even if it's just once. And please kindly help us give her this pouch. It will remind her of our bond, if this is not too much to ask." The maid stared at the card in her palm. They gave her one last look and walked away. Back at the car, Chucks watched them approach and opened the door. "How did it go?" "She didn't fully believe us," Jumoke sighed. Joy added, "But we planted the seed and left her with a warning." Chucks nodded. "Let's go." As the afternoon sun mellowed into a golden haze, cheers erupted from the central square in Ogwashi Uku, a rural community just outside Asaba. Jerry stood atop a campaign truck, flashing his signature smile. He wore a cream-colored agbada, his campaign sash neatly draped across his chest. Behind him was a large banner, "Jerry Okafor, a new tomorrow for Delta South." The crowd was large. Women danced in matching ankara, holding placards with his face. Young boys in white tees with number Team Jerry printed across them handed out bottled water and rice sacks to families. A local MC hyped the crowd. "When others forgot us, who remembered us?" he shouted. Jerry, the crowd chorused. When our hospitals failed, who came through? Jerry. Then Jerry stepped forward, took the mic with his politician's grace, and began. My people, we are not waiting for change, we are creating it, together. Thunderous applause. No more poverty, no more neglect. Delta South will rise with me because I love you. I come from you, and I will serve you. Behind him, men in crisp kaftans nodded, children waved, women ululated. You would think you were watching a savior. Later that evening back at the hotel, Chucks parked the SUV just before 7 p.m. The sky had darkened, but the day's tension still lingered in their bones. They had followed the maid. They had spoken their truth. But would it change anything? Joy collapsed into the single couch. Jumoke stood by the window, arms folded. Chucks poured himself a glass of water, then switched on the old flat-screen television. A news report was already in progress. Senatorial hopeful Jerry Okafor was in Ogwashi Uku today, where he commissioned the town's first ICT center and distributed over 100 scholarship packages to students. All three froze. And then there he was, Jerry, laughing on screen, holding a baby, shaking hands, dancing with elders, grinning like the man of the decade. My God, Jumoke whispered. This man has the entire state under a spell. Joy just stared at the screen, her eyes sharp and wet. This same man, she said slowly, who uses our best friend as a spiritual ATM, is out here campaigning like a saint. Chucks didn't speak. He just watched. On the screen, Jerry lifted a young crippled boy onto his lap, whispering into his ear before handing his mother an envelope. The crowd clapped again. He's not just protected by money, Chucks finally said. He's protected by perception. That's the real danger. They love him too much to question him. Joy turned from the screen. Then we'll have to expose him some other way. Or save Gloria quietly, before she becomes just another ghost in his past. Jumoke added softly, and if we fail, the next person he uses may not get a second chance. The screen faded to black. A Coca-Cola ad followed. But the room remained frozen, because sometimes the devil doesn't wear horns. He wears agbada. He gives scholarships, and he smiles at the camera, while draining the life from someone else behind closed doors. The house had grown quieter, too quiet. It was just past midnight when Jerry stirred in bed. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, and turned toward Gloria. But the bed beside him was empty. The silk bedsheet hung loose on her side. The door to the bedroom was slightly ajar. Faint sounds echoed from the inner corridor, the same corridor that led to that room. Jerry's chest tightened. He got up slowly, slipped on his robe, and stepped out barefoot. There, down the dark hallway, the shrine room door was open. She was already inside. Again, inside the shrine. Gloria was on her knees, her wrapper tightly knotted around her waist. Her eyes were open but blank, face smeared with red chalk. She lifted the calabash mechanically, just as she had done countless times. But something was off. Her hand trembled. Her grip weakened. She blinked once, twice, and then suddenly her hand stopped mid-air. For a split second, she remembered. A flash, a couch, 3 girls laughing over cocktails, a phone screen, a warm hug, a name Jumoke, sharp and familiar, slicing through the fog. Her breathing hitched. The calabash fell to the floor, spilling its dark contents. It didn't break, but it thudded hard, spilling some of the shimmering liquid across the marble. She gasped, stepped back. Jerry rushed in. "What the hell are you doing?" he barked, snatching the calabash. Gloria staggered backward, eyes wide, disoriented. I don't know. I was..." Her voice cracked. She looked like she had woken from a coma. Jerry's face hardened. His usual calm, charismatic mask cracked for a moment. "You broke the routine," he said, more to himself than to her. He stared at her not in anger, but in fear. Something had changed. Later that morning, Jerry sat in the inner study, lights dim, incense burning. He was alone except for the old ram skull that sat on the table before him. He had stopped doing full invocations months ago. Everything had been stable, predictable. But now, cracks. He lit a candle and placed it at the foot of the shrine idol. "Why is she slipping?" he whispered. "Who is touching her mind?" He poured palm oil into a small dish. It sizzled unnaturally, a sign of interference. He knew the rules. If she ever regained full consciousness, if her will returned, the bond would begin to weaken. His wealth would start to burn, and madness would follow. He took out a mirror coated with black powder and whispered her name 3 times. The surface stayed dark. No vision. Blocked. That terrified him. Someone or something was interfering. And he was going to find out who. Meanwhile, Sunrise Motel. Joy stirred awake to the sound of a phone vibrating on the table. It was a message. From a private number. "Something is wrong. I don't feel okay. I saw a memory. I was sleepwalking into a shrine. I carried a calabash. Please, am I going crazy?" Joy sat up instantly, shaking Jumoke awake. Chucks rushed in from the hallway when he saw the light. They read the message together. Joy's hands trembled. "She's remembering," she whispered. "The necklace is working." Chucks exhaled, overwhelmed. But that means Jerry knows something's wrong too. The war has started. 2 days before they met the maid, Chuck sat quietly on the balcony of Sunrise Motel, holding a worn-out Bible in his lap. The sun was just rising. The sky was painted with streaks of orange and lavender. But peace was far from his mind. He was reading aloud not to himself, but into the open air, into the spirit realm. Psalm 91, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High." His voice was steady, his heart was not. Before he left Lagos, Pastor Silas had prayed with him for hours. The old man had gripped his hand, looked deep into his eyes, and said, "Your sister is in chains, Chucks, but she is not lost. What binds her is not only love, it is blood and spirit, and to break it, you'll need more than courage. You'll need a contact point." "Like what?" Chucks had asked. "Find something she has touched, something connected to her soul, not the woman she is now, but the one she used to be. Pray over it, soak it in scripture, and then find a way to get it back to her. If God allows it to touch her body again, her eyes will begin to open." Back in Asaba, the next morning after his arrival, "Did Gloria ever give you something? Maybe something all 3 of you shared?" Chucks asked. They looked at each other. Then Jumoke rushed to her bag and pulled out a small leather pouch. Inside it was a necklace worn, simple but beautiful. It had a small pendant shaped like a broken heart. "This was ours," Jumoke said, her voice tight. "Gloria gave it to us during our final year in school, said it would keep us connected forever, no matter what happened." Joy touched it gently. She wore it every day, until she met Jerry. Chucks nodded. "Let me have it." That night, Chucks knelt on the motel floor and read aloud every scripture Pastor Silas had marked. Psalms, declarations, breaking covenants. He wept, called on Gloria's name, and anointed the bead with oil. It was faith. After arriving from the market, the maid stood by the kitchen sink, rinsing vegetables, her mind thousands of miles away. She kept thinking of the 2 ladies in the market. They looked sincere, scared, desperate. She shook her head, trying to focus. Jerry was in the living room, talking on the phone about his campaign schedule. She had to finish quickly and return upstairs. But then, she looked over at Madame Gloria seated by the window, quiet, staring into space as usual, the same way she always did, not blinking, not smiling, not alive. The maid had always thought Gloria was just a fragile, delicate woman, timid, a soft madam who kept to herself. But now, she wasn't so sure. Something felt off. More than just sadness. Something darker. She looked at her bag. The necklace was still there. Joy's voice replayed in her head. "Just help us, before she dies in that house." The maid's hands trembled. She wiped them dry, pulled out the necklace, and walked slowly toward Gloria. "Madam, I saw something in the market I thought you might like." Gloria didn't move. The maid gently slipped the necklace into her palm and closed her fingers over it. "It's pretty," she whispered. "Maybe it'll help you feel better." Gloria didn't respond, but she didn't resist either. The maid stepped back, heart pounding. She didn't know why she did it. But something in her gut said, She'd just done the right thing. She turned to walk away, relief settling in her chest until she nearly jumped. Jerry stood behind her, tall, silent, smiling but not with his eyes. "Did I startle you?" he asked softly, voice smooth like butter laced with poison. "Ah, no, sir. I didn't see you there," the maid replied quickly, forcing a nervous smile. Her pulse raced, her palms instantly sweaty. Jerry's eyes stayed on her longer than necessary, scanning, reading, questioning. Then, just as calmly, he smiled. "You've been a loyal servant." "Thank you, sir." She gave a small bow and walked briskly away. Too fast, too stiff, too scared to turn back and see if he was still watching. But he was, until she vanished around the corner. Jerry stayed behind. He turned to Gloria. He moved closer, knelt beside her, and placed a hand on her lap. "The table is set, my darling. Let's go eat." Gloria didn't reply. She just stood up quietly, like a puppet on command, and followed him into the dining room. The air inside the mansion had changed. Jerry could feel it. It wasn't anything he could point to directly, no missing item, no strange visitor, but his spirit had been uneasy for days. He felt watched, disturbed, almost challenged. And the most disturbing part? Gloria. She wasn't blinking as slowly anymore. Her eyes, though still mostly hollow, had flashes of something deeper. Memory, emotion. Even her breathing had changed. That night, Jerry stood outside her room and watched from the doorway. She sat still by the window, facing the darkness, the beaded necklace around her neck glowing faintly under the hallway light. Something was wrong, and Jerry was going to find out. 20 minutes later, inside Gloria's room. The moment she left to take her bath, he stepped in like a shadow. He didn't knock. He didn't speak. He just began tearing the room apart. Every drawer, every box, every corner. He flipped her mattress, checked under the rug, unzipped her bags, even tore apart a vanity set she rarely used. His rage was quiet, concentrated, focused, like a lion circling wounded prey. Then he paused. There it was, a folded piece of paper, barely visible, tucked neatly under the base of her bedside lamp. He opened it. The handwriting was clear, and so were the words. "Gloria, we miss our friendship. You don't look like yourself. Whatever is going on, please know we are here in Asaba. We came for you. We love you. We will not leave without you. Please, find a way to reach us. We're staying at Sunrise Motel, room 207. Jumoke and Joy." Jerry read it twice, then a third time. His hands tightened around the paper until it crumbled. He didn't blink. His jaw clenched so hard, a vein throbbed on his temple. "These stupid pigs are in Asaba," he whispered. His eyes gleamed with something wild. "I'll crush them. I'll show them this isn't Lagos. This is my city." He stormed out. 10 minutes later, underground control room. The head of security arrived. No questions, just obedience. Jerry stood by the security monitor, still clutching the crumpled letter. "There are 2 rats at Sunrise Motel, room 207. I want them out of there tonight." "Yes, sir." No noise, no scene. Break the door, gag them, blindfold them. He stepped closer to the guard and hissed, "Drag them here, to the pit. You know the room." The guard nodded slowly. "And once they're inside," Jerry continued, voice dropping, "treat them like the stray animals they are. Let them feel every inch of fear. Strip them of their pride, naked them, take their hope, break their spirit." A cruel smile touched his lips. Outside the mansion, same night, the black SUV rolled out of the compound. No license plates. 3 armed men inside, faces unreadable. Their orders were clear. By morning, the city of Asaba would wake up like every other day. But 2 girls would wake up in a place that didn't exist on any map. And Jerry? He'd be waiting with open arms. The Sunrise Motel was quiet that evening. The sun had set gently over Asaba's skyline, casting orange light across the compound. But the peace was short-lived. A black SUV rolled into the parking lot, its windows tinted deep. 3 men stepped out tall, dressed in black polo shirts and boots. No identification. the air around them shifted. Inside the motel's small reception, the ceiling fan creaked as the receptionist, a slim young man with tribal marks, looked up from his notepad. "Good evening, sirs. Welcome to Sunrise. We're here for room 207. One of the men interrupted, flashing what looked like an official ID card, local task force. "Is there a problem?" the receptionist asked nervously. "We received a tip-off. Surveillance breach. The women inside that room may be under investigation. We need access." The receptionist's smile faded. "Ah, room 207. He tapped a few keys on the outdated computer system. Actually, the occupants checked out just about 45 minutes ago." "Checked out?" the lead guard asked sharply. "Yes, 2 young women and a man. They didn't say much, just that they were heading back to Lagos." The guards exchanged glances. "Let us see the room." "Sure." The receptionist nodded quickly. He handed them the keycard and gestured toward the hallway. They walked swiftly to room 207. Door unlocked. They stepped in. Empty. Beds neatly laid. Bags gone. Bathroom clean. A faint smell of body lotion still lingered in the air. The lead guard scanned the space slowly, his eyes narrowing as if trying to see into the past. "They left in a hurry," he muttered. "Should we alert Ogre?" another asked. "Number, let's confirm with our eyes first." They searched the room, under the beds, the drawers, even the wardrobe. Nothing. After 5 long minutes, they exited the room, locked the door behind them, and walked back to the SUV.